Everybody, welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how you can grow your board game collection in 3 months or less. So are you ready for it? Let's get straight to it. So the first tip is start small, literally. Start by buying 10 to 15 small box games that range between $15 to $25. So that way you find an economical way of building up your board game repertoire. Lots of games on your shelf that won't take up too much space, won't have so much of a shelf presence, but yes, they'll give you lots of options to go through from day to day or week to week as you consume and play these board games. Some of these great options you consider are these roll and write games. Lots of these roll and write games come in small boxes, small packages. They're very much replayable. They play well solo quite often. At the same time, can be played multiplayer. Also, another series of games that would be helpful for that are the Tiny Epic series of games by Scott Alms. And nowadays, there's like 10 plus of these type of games out there. Then again, you can get it for a good price, probably ranging from $22 to $25. They don't take up much table space. They pack quite a punch, and they usually have very good and competent solo variants. So start by getting 10 to 15 of these small box games to get you started. And acquiring these smaller box games, about 10 to 15 or so of them, the next logical step is to purchase for yourself some medium-sized games that also tend to be more middleweight as far as complexity and rules are concerned. So a very popular game in that category would happen to be Ticket to Ride, a very successful gateway, almost mass market type of game. This is a game that's going to be a safe place for you to introduce new gamers or to play with casual gamers, people that you're trying to introduce into the board game hobby, but perhaps are skeptical as to how interested or how curious they might be into it. It's a safe place to go. Even if you're not too interested in this game yourself or how it plays and its mechanisms, again, it's a good, handy game to have in your collection for that very purpose. Now, if you're looking for a more modern game that might accomplish a similar purpose, you've got games like Wingspan, which also comes in a medium-sized box. They're both roughly around the same size, and you want to get about 5 to 10 of these games, these medium-sized box games, to start filling out your shelf and creating more of a shelf presence for your collection, right? A little bit more impressive as far as how it looks, but also having additional options in your repertoire for when you want to have longer game nights or meatier game nights. Because yes, lots of these small box games tend to be on the lighter scale. I say tend to be because there are some exceptions to the rule. There are some smaller box games that can be a little bit meatier, and there are some medium-sized box games that can be pretty light. Ticket to Ride itself is not very heavy for how big the box is. So this is the second step to building your board game collection. So now that you have started by purchasing 10 to 15 of these smaller box games and then continued by acquiring 5 to 10 medium-sized games, the next step is to get 2 to 3 huge box games, what I'm calling big box games that tend to be roughly around $100 a pop. And you want to get about 2 or 3 of them. You don't want to get crazy with it at all, especially early on, because you want to be economical about it. But these games, first of all, besides being an incredible shelf presence on your collection, they're another alternative. Now, the thing about these games, a caveat I must warn you about, is that with these kind of games they're very niche, they're very particular to certain types of gamers, and lots of the people that you might have over to game with you, lots of your friends and family, may not necessarily be interested in playing these type of games. But when you do find the 1 or 2 people that might be willing to play with you, or maybe even 3 or 4 people, they're going to be very committed to these games, because these games tend to be labors of love that put a lot of attention to detail and a lot of emphasis on the craft of board game design, and the immersiveness of the gameplay experience is always highlighted in these bigger box games. And again, they just make for great shelf presence, and it gives you that additional option in your repertoire for when you want to play a longer game. Usually these games kind of consume an entire game night. They are not only the main event, but sometimes they're the only event on a game night because of how much time commitment they involve. So you want to have about 2 to 3 of these games in your collection. Again, the price range hovering around $100 a pop, and you will be very, very satisfied with these purchases, because these will be the games that, although you may not get to the table as often, they'll be the games that you're very excited when you do get them there. Now that you've started your collection and you've done it in under 3 months and you've done it in under $700, $800, what's the next step? How can you sustain this board game collection and sustain its growth? Well, first of all, you got to constantly be looking out for deals, looking at Amazon, checking their prices, going to the geek market on BoardGameGeek.com. It's an excellent resource. Occasionally, you even find a deal on a game that is still in print. Yes, sometimes people only look for older games there, but sometimes even games that are in print can be found for a steal, because maybe someone got it for free and they're willing to sell it for a clean profit, albeit a much lower price than what it's going for at retail. I saw a game like this not too long ago where it was selling about 80 plus bucks on Amazon, and somebody was selling it brand new in shrink wrap for $45 on their Board Game Geek Market store. Even with the $15 shipping, it was still a $20 plus savings. So always be on the hunt for those deals. Look into things like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all these other opportunities that the market creates for people to find discounted prices for products, including the board game hobby. Always have your eyes open for those, and you will continue to grow steadily your board game collection, and at the same time watching out for the bottom line and making sure that your finances are intact. You, as far as growing your board game collection and sustaining that growth long term, is always keep your thumb on the pulse of your board game collection and keep an eye out on those games that are being underutilized and are just not hitting the table, and consider selling them on Board Game Geek's Geek Market, because that is a very valuable tool for any gamer. Lots of times these games are just collecting dust and occupying space on our shelves, when we could be better served by selling those games, unoccupying that space, creating more space for new and fresher games to come into your collection, and also generate some spending money, some revenue that you could, dish back out and utilize to purchase more games. Now, quite often you will sell these games and you will lose money from them, but I look at it as renting a game and for a reduced price. And sometimes every once in a while you might make a profit, especially if a game goes out of print. But again, just keep those games circulating, especially those games that you're just not interested or feel meh about, and you'll keep on getting some additional income, some additional spending cash in order to continue acquiring new games to add to your collection. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us here at When Harry Met Board Games. Consider clicking on one of the videos that you see on the screen right now. Subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram. This is Harry saying take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming. Bye-bye.